Why do some seniors feel invisible in public spaces, and how to change that? It starts so quietly that you almost miss it. You're standing in line at the grocery store, and the cashier greets the person in front of you with a smile and eye contact, then looks right past you. You speak, but your voice barely seems to land. At the doctor's office, the nurse addresses your daughter instead of looking at you directly. In a restaurant, the server seems to be in a hurry when they reach your table, like your presence is a pause in their flow, not a part of it. No one meant harm. No one raised their voice. But still, something inside you shrinks. That's the thing about invisibility. It doesn't make noise. It doesn't slam a door or shout you down. It slips in with silence. It shows up in the absence of things. Eye contact, greetings, patience, curiosity. And slowly, quietly, it starts to teach you that you don't take up space the way you used to, that your presence is no longer expected, or worse, that it's been forgotten. And it hurts. Not in a sharp, obvious way, but in a lingering, quiet ache, like background music that never goes off. This isn't about vanity. It's not about needing attention or craving praise. It's about something deeper, the human need to be seen, not stared at, not fussed over, just seen, acknowledged, valued, felt. Getting older does not mean becoming invisible, but somewhere along the way our culture started acting like it does. And too many older adults, especially those over 60, 70, and 80, find themselves fading from the front of the conversation, the center of the room, the focus of attention, not because they've changed, but because the world has stopped looking. But here's the truth. The world may not see you yet, but that doesn't mean you aren't radiant. It doesn't mean you don't belong in the room, in the story, in the middle of everything. So, let's talk. Let's go deep into this idea of invisibility, not to wallow in it, but to understand it, name it, and then challenge it. Because this isn't the end of your visibility. It's the beginning of reclaiming it. You're still here. You still matter. And it's time we talk about how to make sure the world sees that again, clearly, fully, and without apology. There's a shift that's hard to describe, but you know it when it happens. Once upon a time, when you walked into a room, people noticed. You were greeted, nodded to, smiled at. You could walk down the sidewalk and someone might say, "Good morning." You could make eye contact with a stranger and feel that brief shared recognition. You exist. I see you. We're here together. But now there are days you walk through an entire grocery store and no one looks up. The cashier barely glances your way. The clerk talks to the person behind you while scanning your items. The barista smiles at the young couple but barely mumbles when handing you your drink. You're still there, you know that, but it's like the world forgets to look, like you've faded into the background of everyone else's urgency. It's not personal, and yet it feels very personal. There's something sacred about eye contact. It's a simple gesture, but it says so much. It says you matter. It says you're human and I acknowledge you. And when that disappears, it can make you feel like your presence has become irrelevant. But here's the truth. You're not the one who's faded. The world just got too distracted, too fast, too narrow in its vision. And somewhere along the way it forgot that wisdom doesn't come with speed and value doesn't age out. So what do? You reclaim your presence. Not by shouting, not by demanding, but by standing tall and staying open. Eye contact goes both ways. Look up, look around. Make your gaze strong and warm. You'll be surprised how many people return it when you give. First, and your posture. It speaks even before your words. Straighten your shoulders. Lift your chin. You don't need to explain your place in this world. You just need to own it. Wear color. Smile first. Ask a question. Start the nod. Be the one who makes eye contact. And in doing so, gently teach the world to look again, because your eyes still shine, and the world needs what's behind them. Most people don't even realize they're doing it. That's what makes it so slippery, so subtle, and so dangerous. It shows up when a doctor speaks to your adult child about your health instead of looking at you directly. It shows up when A server assumes you want the senior menu without asking. When a salesperson talks slower, louder, as if your brain has suddenly lost its edge. It shows up when people call you sweetie, or young lady, or sir, in a tone that feels more like dismissal than respect. It shows up when people assume you're frail, confused, or irrelevant before they've even heard your voice. That's ageism, and it's not always loud or cruel. Sometimes it sounds polite, sometimes it even comes from good intentions. But what it says deep down is this: you're not expected to contribute anymore. You're past your prime, your background now, and it's not true. Ageism isn't just unfair, it's untrue. Older adults carry decades of lived experience, earned insight, emotional depth, and resilience. But ageism shrinks all of that down to a stereotype. And the worst part? Over time, we start to believe it. We internalize it, we shrink ourselves. We speak up less. We question our worth. And we accept crumbs of respect instead of demanding the full table we deserve to sit at. But here's the good news. Once you recognize it, you can name it. And once you name it, you don't have to carry it anymore. Start noticing those moments, not with bitterness, but with clarity. Did someone talk over you, dismiss you, patronize you? That's not you being too sensitive. That's your dignity telling you you deserve more. Speak up when you can, calmly, clearly. Please talk to me directly. I'm capable of answering for myself. Thank you, but I've got it. And remind yourself you don't owe the world an apology for aging. You've survived, you've grown, you've stayed, and you've earned the right to be seen and respected for exactly who you are. You are not a footnote. You are not a background character. You are the story, and you're still in it. It doesn't happen all at once. One day you're in a group conversation and someone interrupts you, and no one notices. Another time you make a suggestion and it's brushed aside. At a dinner table, the topic shifts just as you start to share. A week passes, maybe a month, and you start speaking less. Not because you have nothing to say, but because you're tired of not being heard. It's not just social. It happens in medical appointments, in community meetings, even at family gatherings. You start to realize that your voice is being crowded out. Not violently, not with malice, but with assumptions. That you don't need to be consulted. That you'll just go along. That you're fine with staying quiet. And over time, many older adults begin to adopt silence as a survival tactic. You sit quietly in the background. You smile and nod. You tell yourself, let them have their moment. I've said enough in my life. But friend, your voice is not done yet. Your voice still carries truth, experience, humor, correction, love. And it deserves space. The world is loud, that's true. But that doesn't mean you have to go silent. Sometimes the most powerful voices are the ones that speak gently, but with intention. Reclaiming your voice doesn't mean becoming someone you're not. It means saying what matters and refusing to shrink. Start with small moments. Ask the question at the appointment. Share the story at dinner. Say no when you mean no. Speak clearly when others expect you to stay vague. And if someone talks over you, stop and gently say, I wasn't finished yet. Let that sentence sit in the room. It may be awkward at first, but it teaches people to wait, to listen, to make room. Your words are not background noise. They are part of the music. You do not owe the world your silence. You owe yourself the dignity of still being heard, because your voice matters. Still. Always. Somewhere along the line, comfort became the only goal. Not just physical comfort, emotional comfort too. So we slip into neutrals. We stop experimenting. We wear clothes that help us blend in, not stand out. We tell ourselves, I'm too old for that color, that cut, that style. And slowly, quietly, our wardrobe becomes a mirror of something deeper. The belief that visibility no longer belongs to us. But clothing has always been more than fabric. It's expression, it's identity. It's how we tell the world, I'm still here, I still care, I still have something to say. This doesn't mean chasing trends or trying to dress younger. It means dressing in a way that reflects who you still are: bold, beautiful, curious, alive. Look through your closet. Are you hiding? Or are you showing up? When was the last time you wore a color that lit you up inside? A pair of earrings just because they made you smile? A hat that made someone compliment you in the store? You're allowed to be noticed. You're allowed to take up space. You're allowed to be stunning, to be interesting, to be stylish. Not for someone else, but for you. Because here's the truth. People look at those who carry themselves with pride, and dressing with joy is a declaration. I am still living. I am still me, and I still want the world to see. So don't fade into beige. Don't tuck yourself into shadows. Bring out the scarf, the jacket, the lipstick, the sparkle. Not because you have something to prove, but because you have something to celebrate. You don't have to dress to disappear. You can dress to shine. And the moment you do, something inside you will whisper, "There I am. I remember her. I remember him. I'm still here." There's a moment many older adults feel but rarely say out loud. You walk into a room, maybe a social gathering, a church event, a family dinner, and for just a second you wonder, do I still belong here? No one said you didn't, but the energy is different. The pace is younger. The conversations swirl around things you're not a part of anymore, and you feel yourself slowly pulling back, sitting at the edge of the room, letting the chatter pass you by. It's easier sometimes to shrink than to interrupt, to watch rather than engage, to fade rather than risk not fitting in. But that quiet retreat, repeated over and over, turns into a kind of self-erasure. And it convinces you of something dangerous, that you no longer have a place, but you do. You still have a seat at the table. You still have the right to walk into any space with dignity, not because of what you produce or who you impress, but because you exist. And that's enough. Reclaiming your space doesn't mean taking over. It means showing up fully. It means entering the room without apology, sitting where you want to sit, speaking when you have something to say, laughing out loud, asking questions, making suggestions, giving compliments, holding your ground. It means no longer checking for permission before being yourself. You've lived too much life to sit in the corner like you're on the sidelines. You are not on pause. You are not just a supporting character. You are still part of the rhythm, still part of the room. So when you feel the urge to shrink, to say, maybe I'll just sit this one out, pause, breathe, and remember, you've earned your place not through approval, but through presence. Walk in like you belong because you do. You can't control how people treat you. That's one of life's hardest truths. But you can influence it. Not through force, not through bitterness, but through presence, voice, and example. People follow signals. And for too long, the signal we've unintentionally sent as we age is, step back, stay quiet, let others take the spotlight. But what if we change that? What if, instead of fading, you showed up brighter? Not louder, brighter. You'd be amazed at how the world responds when you walk into a room like you deserve to be there, when you speak with assurance, when you dress with intention, when you look someone in the eye and say, I have something to offer. It may feel strange at first, but you're not just doing it for you, you're doing it for the next generation of older adults too. Because every time you claim your space, use your voice, wear that color, laugh in public, lead with warmth, offer a story, ask a question, or set a boundary, you're retraining the world to see older adults not as relics, but as contributors. You're showing people that age doesn't mean invisibility, it means evolution. And that kind of visibility isn't about being the center of attention. It's about being the center of yourself, grounded, dignified, alive. So speak up, share your wisdom, invite conversation, mentor someone, tell your story. Show the younger generation what it looks like to grow older without disappearing. Let your presence teach others how to treat you. You are still shaping the world, still teaching it how to see, still leading by example. And when you stand fully in your light, you make space for others to do the same. There's a story many people begin to believe as they grow older, a quiet, unspoken narrative that says your time in the spotlight is over, that you've served your purpose, said your piece, and now it's time to step aside. Smile politely. Stay quiet. Shrink just enough to make room for everyone else. But that story? It's a lie. You were never meant to fade. Not in presence, not in purpose, not in soul. The truth is, your light hasn't gone out. It's simply shifted. It may no longer roar like a fire in the center of a crowded room, but it still glows, steady and powerful, like a lighthouse that knows exactly who it is even when no one else is looking. Being seen isn't about drawing attention to yourself. It's about standing in the world with enough self-respect to say, I'm still here, I still count, I still carry something worth noticing, and you do. You carry stories no one else can tell. You hold strength that doesn't shout. You bring presence that changes the temperature of a room, even if you say nothing at all. And yes, the world may sometimes forget to look, but that doesn't mean you stop showing up. Invisibility is not your destiny. It's a symptom of a culture that rushes, forgets, and glorifies youth as if age isn't the most incredible teacher of all. But just because the world is noisy doesn't mean you have to whisper. Just because you're older doesn't mean you're less. Just because you've stepped back doesn't mean you're gone. You still have so much to offer, so much to feel, so much to experience and share. You are not finished. You are flourishing in a new direction. So wear the bright colors. Speak with your full voice. Walk into every room with the knowledge that your presence is not an interruption. It's an addition. You are not invisible. You are a masterpiece in a quieter frame. And while the world may not always see it at first glance, when you stand tall, when you show up fully and without apology, you remind them. And more importantly, you remind yourself. You were never meant to fade, only to shine differently. And your light, right now, right here, still matters more than you know.